In order to achieve net zero by 2050, there are 4 actions that have to be taken now. These actions are: 1. To eliminate most electricity generation from coal. 2. Maintain current natural gas generation capacity. 3. Increase sales share of building heat pumps to 50%. And the 4th and final action is to do research and development towards carbon capture.
This first step in the net zero process has been paved for us. We already have the technology, and we are working our way to this point. To make this step work, we must apply the technology that we already have to the world. The way that coal helps generate electricity is that coal-fired power plants burn coal in a boiler to produce steam. The steam produced under tremendous pressure flows into a turbine, which spins the generator to create electricity. The most obvious benefit to making this change is that coal emits a lot of carbon when it is burned. The typical carbon content for coal on a dry basis ranges from more than 60% for lignite on the low end to more than 80% for anthracite on the high end. Moving from coal to just about anything else as an energy source would be better, cleaner, and result in less carbon emissions. One of the biggest drawbacks to this change, if not the biggest drawback, is that coal is relatively inexpensive. Coal is just $38 per ton. It is hard to convince companies to switch from this resource since it is so cheap, making this the hardest step to achieving net zero.
We decided that this action would be relatively easier to accomplish because the groundwork has already been laid out. Natural gas is the cleanest fossil fuel available. It is also readily available and is being implemented in today's economy as we speak. Natural gas burns at 117 pounds of carbon dioxide per million BTUs, in comparison to the 200 pounds of coal and the 160 pounds that oil produces. The problem with maintaining natural gas as our source of energy is that it still produces those carbon emissions and is not completely clean. But we believe that this action is needed to take because the perfect transition piece from going from carbon emissions to net zero. Natural gas is cleaner and is a resource that we have readily available in today's economy. By increasing building heat pump sales shares to 50%, we not only allow companies to install new and more energy efficient systems, but we also allow a path for our economy to take that will keep us financially stable and allowing jobs and opportunities in the sales side of achieving net zero. Having this increase in sales shares would help ensure that the total carbon footprint of companies would decrease, and it would allow opportunities for companies to buy into a way of achieving decarbonization while still being able to maintain a steady financial state.
The reason that we picked this idea is because people have already made efforts toward reaching carbon capture. This step is already halfway done. The only thing left to complete this step is to start on development. Some methods have been researched towards implementing carbon capture, such as oxy-fuel solution, calcium looping, and hot potassium carbonate. The idea behind oxy-fuel solution is that by replacing combustion air in typical combustion units with oxygen and recirculated CO2, capturing CO2 becomes a part of the integrated energy production step. Calcium looping is the process where calcium oxide reacts with carbon dioxide to form calcium carbonate. The calcium carbonate is regenerated to produce calcium oxide and carbon dioxide again. And once the calcium carbonate has lost its activity in the process of capturing carbon, it can be repurposed as a raw material, resulting in zero emissions. The last solution that has been researched is hot potassium carbonate. Hot potassium carbonate captures carbon in a potassium carbonate solution that is reversible. These are all viable, cost-effective solutions that we can put in place now to put us on a path to achieving a net zero economy. If we implement these solutions now, we can have a brighter future.